Okay guys, straight to the point. Is she worth it? If you own Castorice, yes. Else, she has a much lower value compared to other sustains. Hyacine is the latest Remembrance character that can heal. Yup, a healer. What's next for this path? I don't know. Super Break? Dot finally? I don't know what this path is at this point. But anyways, now let's discuss her value as well as Hyacine's builds. The advantages of using Hyacine over other healers, especially the current, well technically old, best in slot, Gallagher, is simply that she has a summon. If you are not aware, there is actually a new butt cap due to Castorice A2 trees. Here we can see, the converted value for each ally target cannot exceed 12% of new butt's maximum limit. So Castorice's skill, right, consumes 30% of all allies, right? All allies. So what's better than having one character? Two characters! So she can drain double. Speaking of healing, do you know that when she uses her skill and ultimate, right, she also does an AoE cleanse. Gallagher's cleanse is only from his skill, it's single target, and that's only if you have E2. Let's not forget that Elyskye can also deal its own personal damage, which is fairly respectable compared to most healers whose name isn't Lingsha when you equip with crit substats. During Hyacine's ultimate, the team also gets their HP boosted, making her the first and only HP stat buffer in the game right now. Elyskye is also immune to crowd control, by the way, so basically nothing can stop them from doing attacks until they run out of HP and disappear, which then you can simply just summon them again. Now, one of the more useful parts of a kit, technique. So if you can see here, heals your allies, right? But at the start of the battle, aren't we at full HP? Unless we are in like simulated universe or something. Yes, of course. But let me tell you this, okay? Why this is good. Elyskye gains 1 free stack of damage bonus because of the heal. You can see here on the trace. You can already stack buffs before the battle even begins. And if you thought that was good, that's not all. Okay? If Hyacine is wearing this new relic set, right, the effect is activated immediately. Free speed for Hyacine and free buffs once again before the battle even begins. It's pretty good for characters like Yunli because her technique instantly uses a Intuit cow at the start of the battle before we can buff anything. Also, this HP buff can buff Pollux because when you use the Castorice technique, right, Pollux will always go first and then you do the breath, right? So you get a HP buff. Lastly, she can also naturally attain high speed, and one of her traces want you to be over 200 speed. Also, 200 speed will always give you 3 turns in the very first cycle, and every cycle after that you always get a guaranteed 2 turns. Very good quality of life. For 0 cycles, this means you don't have to farm or craft that inefficient eagle set and try to get high speed, destroying your potential relic set bonuses because you're running eagle. More healing due to Hyacine being so fast, more HP for Castorice, more drain for Newbutt, and way more team damage because Elyskye can actually do damage but Gallagher cannot, unless you somehow allow him to super break. What more could you ask? She is the healer for Castorice teams. If you ask me, anyone else in the Castorice team can be substituted. Like Tribi, you can replace with Ranmi, but not the healer, which is the main way to ensure Castorice can continue to gain new butt charge in order to activate her ultimate, which is most of her damage. Now what about non-Castorice teams? We do have other HP scalers like Blade and Mydei, or maybe just any team in general. For Mydei, she provides the excellent HP buff and extra drain if you own Hyacine's Light Cone. However, the weakness is that because her heals are AoE focused and not high single target like Luocha, she can't top up his HP as well as him, and Mydei really wants his current HP to be as high as possible for the maximum charge gain, so that he can do his God Slayer be God. I would say Hyacine is more of like a premium option if you want Mydei to do more damage. You are trading less God Slayers for more overall damage. Should you pull? Well, the choice is yours. For Blade, he doesn't care about having high current HP. The HP buff from the ultimate will be excellent as Blade scales on HP. Also, if you own Hyacine's Light Cone, if you didn't know this, every time she does any ability, so basic skill or ultimate, Blade can gain a stack cause he loses HP, so it's an extra charge. If you happen to get 2 Hyacine Light Cones, you could even run like an RMC with this Light Cone for even more charges. Do note that if you see here it says it doesn't stack correct, but it's actually only for the Vound effect, so don't worry. If you want to pull her for Blade though, I will probably wait for a rerun, as Blade buffs are coming next patch as announced by the devs, and we don't know how his kit will be changed. It will be a gamble if Hyacine will work well with the new and improved Blade. Else, if you're adventuring and want to go, sure, go ahead, don't let me stop you. Being one of the highest and fastest AoE healer in the game, she can fit into any team as a generic sustain. Also in these non-HP scaling teams, she can relax a bit and do more of her basic attacks, as the buff from her ultimate is not really that important because it buffs HP and can be treated even as an emergency heal if needed. Do note that if you hold off on the ultimate, your Ika doesn't get to attack, so that's also one drawback. Okay friends, welcome to the dark side. Now that I've spent half the video glazing Pink Barbara and her fluffy unicorn, it's time to talk about her flaws. Yep, her weaknesses. Obviously, she's not a perfect character. SP negative is the first thing that comes into mind. Then you will probably say, just fit in some basics. No. Okay, first thing right, her basic does not heal. On a Castorice team, you can't really do that, else you can't get a 3 turnout, cause you get less energy when you basic. I will cover more on her energy in the relic section, timestamps on the screen. So because you can't really use basic right, she's very SP negative. So what does this mean? Oh no! Gallagher wins again. Gallagher 2, Lingsha 0, Hyacine 0. Only in the SP department. Being an AoE focused character, her single target heals are pretty bad, as I've said in the Mydei part earlier. But this is only a problem when you want high healing single target, which doesn't really apply to every character in the game. So who cares? It's fine. Last thing is, she's a sustain. Oh no, a sustain. So I wouldn't recommend pulling for Hyacine if you already have 2 limited sustains. However, in Castorice's case, it's a different story. She's not just a sustain. Her value far exceeds that of a regular sustain, and her buffs and utility greatly help the core mechanic of Castorice's kit. It's not like, Gallagher to Lingsha. No, it's way more than that. Without a healer, Castorice can't build new butt. And you're also going to lose out on the HP buff, which no one else in the game can buff HP. In Castorice teams, she's not only a sustain, but you can probably count her as like a harmony character because of the HP buff. And that should be all the problems addressed. Up to you how you want to see the problems. That's all I can say. Okay, let's say you're sold, okay? Even though I'm not Hoyoverse and I'm just a random YouTuber. You want Hyacine. Yes, you want to pull her now. Or you already got her already by this point, because this video is not on release date. Should you invest beyond E0S0? The answer is, well, it depends. S1 is very comfortable, especially for Castorice and even Mydei or Blade teams. The vulnerability can be used for Acheron as well because it's a debuff. You also deal a little extra additional damage, as it says here on the Light Cone. Even if you don't want the Light Cone, right, you have a free alternative, which is the Herter Shop Light Cone. And don't worry if this is already on RMC, you can just go back to the MOC Shop Light Cone. So vertical investment, right, Eidolons. E1 provides 50% more HP during the after rain state, which you gain this from Hyacine's ultimate, lasts for 3 turns. And every time you do an attack, right, anyone does an attack, you restore some HP, which is 8%. Note that this restore, it works for all allies. Think about it as Lord Char's Feel or Gallagher's Besotted, but better. This is extremely good for Castorice teams. And for E2, it's a speed buff when allies lose HP. Okay, fun fact. This speed buff, right, if you use Castorice skill or Hyacine has the Light Cone, it is technically team wide. because when you use Castorice skill, everybody loses HP. When you have Hyacine Slide Cone and then use the ability, everybody also loses HP. So basically you got a permanent 30% team-wide speed buff, which is insanely good. To put it into math, that's 3 Ranmeis. After E2, I wouldn't go any further because that's technically whale territory, and that's a bit too much for sustain as well. Where's a good stopping point? I would say E1. In fact, because she's a sustain, right, I would say if not for Castorice, right, I wouldn't even consider it. E2 is great and all, but to me, it's more of a luxury because you need 2 extra copies of Hyacine, and those 2 copies you need to win the 50-50. Also, 30% speed, right, while it's huge, it won't necessarily help at all unless you hit speed breakpoints. So this is more for like 0 cycle territory. If you can afford it, sure, but remember, she's a sustain. So here comes the burning question. Let's say you can only pick one, right? E1 or S1. Both are good. E1 for Castorice teams is definitely stronger. However, okay, here's my hot take. You are pulling E1, right? But it will be permanently tied to Hyacine. So only Hyacine can make use of it. Outside of Castorice, you basically become unkillable, but is that very important? Whereas, right, the S1, you can give it to anyone that is on the Remembrance path, even like RMC. Like maybe you want to run RMC in a different team. RMC can like borrow the Light Cone. Let's say if you're not using Hyacine. So S1 definitely has more users than E1. End of the day, your choice. Alright guys, for the last section, technically second last, relics. Okay, I'm going to keep it very simple. For the body, healing body over HP %. Try not to run HP % unless you have very good substats on it. Speed boots, HP % up, ERR rope, energy regeneration. For substats, prioritize speed at all costs, then either HP % or crit damage. And if you got any effect rest rolls or they just happen to appear on the relics, perfect, because she has 68% effect rest in her kit already, so it's quite easy to E 100%. Now for the final question of the build, can you run HP rope? Okay, let's take a look at the energy calcs for Hyacine. I know this might look confusing, but bear with me. Okay, ER rope, right, provides 19%, so this is the actual number. To make it simple, times 1.19. So that's why there's 2 numbers here. This is the one where I just used the simple value, 1.19, and this is the actual value. You can see it's quite close. And yeah, 130.9, right, or 131 is not enough because her max energy is 140, so you do need to get hit once. And if you get hit by enemy attacks, you regenerate this amount of energy. It's random, it could be 5, could be 10, could be 15, could be 20, could be 25. So with this in mind, right, even if you use HP rope, right, as you can see, same calculation, but no ER rope, even if you roll a 25, it's not enough. And you can see the rotation for a 3 turn out is very tight because the buff lasts 3 turns. So because it's so tight, right, you can't use basic, at least in Castorice teams. Outside of Castorice teams, not so important. So how I got this number is, when you out, you get back 5 energy, skill 30, and because you out, right, you got the after rain state, Ika does the attack, you get 5. So 3 turns of this, that's how I got this number. And yeah, this is the energy calcs. Yep, you cannot use HP rope, else you might end up getting a 4 turn ultimate. Okay, before the end of the video, I do have something to say. So next week there will be no weekly video because I don't have time to make one. We'll continue the week after, or maybe even the 2 weeks after, you see. And yeah, thank you for watching. That is all for this video. Good luck on your Hyacine pulls and relic rolls. And just this once, since you watched through till the end, right, if you enjoyed it, do drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more. If not, then take care, have a great day, and see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!